Let me ask you a serious question. Do you feel like you're doing okay with money, but somehow still feel behind? You make decent money, you pay your bills, you might even be saving something, yet it still feels like financial stability is just barely out of reach. Here's why. Most people don't actually know how the average American is really doing financially, and when you finally see the numbers, they're honestly shocking. Today, I'm breaking down 10 jaw-dropping money stats about the average American in 2026. We're going to be covering debt, savings, investing, and net worth, and more importantly, what you can do to avoid becoming one of these statistics. Because once you see the data, you can't unsee it. Let's start with cars because this one surprises almost everyone. 26.6% of car trade-ins today have negative equity. That means over 1 in 4 people owe more money on their car than what the car is actually worth. And when they go to trade it in, they're actually having to come out of pocket or roll it into their next loan. The average negative equity is $6,754. Even worse, 32.6% of those underwater loans are between $5,000 to $10,000 upside down. This didn't happen by accident. Here's why: 84 months and sometimes 96-month auto loans. And the pandemic inflated car prices and rapid depreciation the moment that you drive it off the lot. And people are rolling old debt into new loans over and over again and quietly digging themselves a deeper hole. Cars are transportation tools, not wealth builders. Smarter approach: buy used, ideally 3 to 5 years old, and ignore status pressure. Follow the 20-4-10 rule: 20% down, 4 to 5 year payoff, and payment under 10% of gross income. Buy now, pay later sounds harmless, right? No interest, small payments, easy approvals. But here's the truth: the average BNPL balance is about $750. 24% of users made a late payment. Nearly 40% regret using it. Even 38% of households earning $100,000 to $150,000 aren't safe from BNPL. This isn't about being broke, it's about disconnecting spending from pain. When purchases don't feel expensive, people spend more than they should. And suddenly that interest-free purchase becomes another bill stacking up. If you can't afford it today, you can't afford it. Or otherwise, if you can't buy it twice, you definitely can't afford it. Here's one that's quietly costing people a fortune. Americans are holding 18 trillion in bank deposits, but 82% do not use a high yield savings account. 57% keep money in near zero interest accounts. Let me put this into perspective. $5,000 in a traditional savings account earns you about $20 per year. That same $5,000 at 3.5% APY earns about $175 per year. Same money, same effort, wildly different outcome. This isn't about chasing returns, it's about not accepting nothing. This one explains a lot of financial stress. 60% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency with cash. Instead, 25% would use a credit card, and others would borrow money from family or delay the expense entirely. That means a single car repair, medical bill, appliance breakdown can turn into long-term debt. This is why emergency funds matter more than investing early. The goal: $1,000 starter fund. I know it's not much, but it's something that will at least help you in case of an emergency. Once you have that, 3 to 6 months of expenses kept separately from daily spending. Emergency money isn't there to grow, it's there to protect you. Across the US, the median bank account balance is roughly $8,000, but that gap is becoming massive. High earners making $153,000 plus a year have about a $33,000 and $800 median balance. Lower earners are far less. Two important takeaways here: income matters a lot. Cash sitting idle still needs a job. If you're holding several months of expenses in cash, at least make sure that it's earning something. And long term, your biggest financial lever isn't budgeting, it's income growth. Nearly 1 in 3 people leave their IRA in cash. This one's painful because 28% of people who roll money into an IRA never invest it. They assume it's automatically invested, but it's not. That money just sits in cash inside a retirement account for years. which means no compounding, no market growth, just inflation slowly eating away at it. The rule: every retirement account needs to have a double check. Is it funded? Is it actually invested? If not, we need to start on it right away. Despite crashes, recessions, bear markets, historically, the stock market has returned 8 to 10% annually long term. That means money roughly doubles every decade. But here's the catch: missing just the best 10 market days can cut your returns in half, which is why timing the market fails. Sitting in cash costs you. Consistency beats perfection. Volatility is the price of admission for growth. Back in 1991, first-time homebuyers were 28. Today, 38 years old. Why is that? Higher home prices, student debt, lifestyle flexibility, delayed family formation. Home ownership isn't mandatory for wealth. It's one tool, not the only one. If you do end up buying a house, plan to stay in it for at least 5 to 10 years. Budget for all costs, not just a mortgage. And don't rush just because others did it. To be in the top 10% of American net worth, you need to have just over $1 million. Not income, not salary, net worth. That's assets minus liabilities, which mean a $200,000 income with debt can still mean low net worth. Modest earners with consistency can still get there, but wealth is built quietly over time through habits, not hype. Here's the stat that quietly explains almost everything we talked about today. The average credit card interest rate in America is now over 22%. And for many people, it's even higher. That means that if you're carrying just $5,000 on a credit card, you're paying over $1,100 a year in interest alone. And that's if you don't add a single new charge. Now here's where it gets dangerous, because if you're making only the minimum payment, that balance of $5,000 can take 10 to 15 years to pay off. And you'll often be paying way more in interest than the actual original purchase's cost. This is why debt feels impossible to escape. Not just spending habits, the math is literally working against you. And when you connect the stat to everything else we covered, it starts to make sense on why people can't build emergency funds, why buy now, pay laters turn into long-term stress, why savings never seem to grow, and why investing feels out of reach for some. High interest debt quietly drains future you every single month. And that's why for most people, the first step to building wealth isn't investing or side hustles, it's eliminating high interest debt. So your money can finally start working for you and not against you. If these stats felt uncomfortable, that's a good thing, because awareness is the first step to change. Most people don't fail financially because they're lazy. They fail because no one ever showed them the numbers. And now you've seen them, and what you need to do next is entirely up to you.